Are you missing a trick when you throw away your dead candles? How about transforming them into something really super and you can decorate with them during the cold winter months? Here I've got some figs coated in wax, some hydrangea heads, and wait for it, this beautiful waxed heart with more hydrangeas. It couldn't be easier to do, although it is ever so slightly time consuming. Note the time on the clock. Hello there, welcome to my channel. I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. Now what am I holding? These are some leftover candles from Christmas, and rather than just throw the odds and ends away, I thought I would melt them down and get really creative. I do hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, and then you'll always know when I upload a new video. When I was filming this video, I forgot to connect my microphone, and what I'm telling you here is you'll need a saucepan full of water and a heat-proof jug for melting your wax in. Break off your candles. Here I've got some wax that's spilled out over the countertop, and I've decided to cut out the wicks. I didn't want the black burnt sections discolouring my wax. And then go ahead and take your candles out of their holders. You may have night lights that you burn at home. Snap those out of little cases and take out the disc that holds the wick in place, and you can use these offcuts as well. Grab your candles, put them into your heat-proof jug, and then you're ready to set that in a pan of water, bring it to the boil, simmer and watch it. As you can see, I've got my pan of water on to boil, and then when it is boiling I will turn the heat down so it just simmers, so I can now get on with my preparation. So first thing to do is to get out your greaseproof paper or your baking paper. Either rip it off or cut it off. And I'm using this primarily to protect my work surface. I'm going to square that off there just so it's extra neat. I'll take some washi tape and just tape that to my worktop. So here I've got my greaseproof paper, my baking paper, taped down so it'll hold, and then take my pastry cutter, my heart-shaped pastry cutter, and draw around that, and it'll give me a good idea of how to drizzle my heart so I'm not going totally freehand. I've turned my wax bath, I suppose it's a melting bath really, down, so I've still got a bit more time. I've opened the lid up and there's nothing discernible happening inside, so I'm going to take a moment now to cut some of my hydrangeas, and I want to be dipping them one little floret at a time, so I'm trying to cut them. They've got these really short stems. I'm just trying to cut them on as long a stem as possible, realising of course that it's all just very short. And what I'm imagining is I'm going to dribble the wax over the heart shape and then dip the flowers in the wax and then just place a few over the top. So here is my little pan of boiling water. It has boiled and I've now turned it down. And I've got my metal container here, so before I lift the lid off I need to get a cloth so I don't burn myself, and then just have a look inside and see what's happening. So you can see there that already after just a few moments it is starting to melt. I've had my wax standing here probably for coming up to 10 minutes, and when I swirl it round, can you see it's coating the inside of my teapot in white. So if I'm very carefully aim to pour some out without pouring it out. Just wondering whether you can see that you can there, the white of the candle wax as it's beginning to melt. So I think now is a good time to start practicing and using it, and if it's too runny I will come back to it in a few more minutes. And just going really slowly. The pot isn't really hot. It's like holding a teapot if it had tea in it. So if you're worried about the heat, just make sure you're protecting yourself. And here you need to go slowly and carefully. So dribble. Oops, it's a bit fat there. So possibly it's a bit too runny, so having done that first splurge, I'm pretty much pouring it out, drop by drop. I'm going to leave that to dry and then do another coat. So here I've finished all 4 of my hearts. It just certainly gets easier as the wax is starting to dry. But you need to remember, you're just working on freeform really. These aren't going to look like perfect heart shapes. They're something that you're home crafted and they're never going to be quite perfect. You could take a table knife and cut off the bits that you're not very pleased with. Put those back in the pot and melt them again. So I think probably these are ready for a second coat if I do them in the order that I started. I think I'm going to leave it like that for now. My wax is starting to really dry up again, so I'm going to put that back on the heat and dip my hydrangea heads next. I have remelted my wax and I've let it sit for a little while. So the next job is to wax my hydrangeas, and for this I'm going to use a pair of tweezers because I don't want to get my fingers burnt. So it should be easy enough to pick the tweezers up and grip them tightly and dip them into the pot. That fell off, so now I'm fishing. Ah, I did it. And drip it off. So that is just a really light covering of wax. And if you wanted to build up the layers, you could do that by adding more each time. The problem here I've got is that my hand is too big for the opening. So it's not quite as easy to do as I would have hoped. To go in with my knife there. So they have all had one coating of wax. I might give them another go, just to build up the layers to make them more substantial. Next I decided to wax some figs, a really fun thing to do. So this is how far I've got at the moment. These were the figs that you saw me doing. So this was a fig that I bought in a pack of 4 from the supermarket, and it's probably a little bit overripe, and I had to push the stick right up to the top stem to sort of get it to hold without piercing through the top. And what I've made sure I've done is where I created the wound in here to make sure the wax comes down the handle a bit further. And then these mini figs here, I found these figs on the street that they had fallen off a fig tree. I guess they were too immature or got caught by the winter winds. I'm not quite sure about that. So they look great as well. And then I'm being very delicate with everything. The waxed hydrangea heads, which are absolutely gorgeous. I think you can see those properly. Just really tactile to touch with, but I'm just conscious that if I'm too heavy-handed, they're going to break. And that was one of the ones I did with only putting 1 coat of wax on the top. And here I've done more layers of wax, but also the wax had cooled, so it was slightly thicker. I started off with 4 hearts, and sadly, in trying to move them round to show you, I have snapped one of them. That was the one where I was going to infill. So what I'll do is, oh, it's so lovely, breaking that up and like chocolate, crunching chocolate up. I can put that back in my pot and I can melt that down for another time. So again, being really ultra careful. That is the finished wax, which I think looks pretty good really. So when you're ready to decorate your heart with your flowers, I was just taking a teaspoon and dribbling some more of the hot wax onto your heart where you want to add in your flowers, making sure the bit of the flower that you want to stick is actually got some contact. So dribble a bit onto I'm going to go on the back of the petals. So you go all the way around, or just have a few pieces. I'm going to try for the bottom here. So there's my finished heart, and then I've got a few of the waxed hydrangeas left, and I am going to pin, so very delicately, without splitting the waxed flower head. So you want it nice and secure so it's not flopping around, but not to push so hard that you then break the waxed flower. So I hope you've enjoyed working through that project with me. I cannot get over how beautiful these little pieces are, and of course they are really, really delicate. These are the figs. I cut the stem off the kebab stick down and planted it in next to my hyacinths, which should be flowering soon, and I quite like the way the shape of the figs was copying the shape of the bulb. And then a little bit of candle decor, so pinned in the hydrangea head with a pearl-headed pin, and again looks really, really stylish and transforms a plain pillar candle, try saying that fast, into something that just looks a little bit more beautiful. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.